Now, up next is, as you want to be put, the hardest working woman in the DC karaoke host business. And she shares a name with my favorite hot cereal, so we really can't go wrong here. This is Mary Alice Farina!
Hello. So when I hit puberty, I developed a huge obsession with Civil War soldiers. And there was one in particular, and I will never forget the first day we met. It was one of those days like kids go through, you know, like your parents are getting a divorce downstairs and they're like screaming at each other. And I was like, girl, we need some me time. So I put on my favorite Laura Ingalls Wilder inspired Pioneer girl dress and my Frontierland bonnet. And I put on my headphones and I was blasting some tunes, like straight up fife and drum corps, reenactment soundtrack. It was hardcore. I was rebelling, you know, like I was acting out. So, and I was like, peace out, family, I'm going to the library. So I went and I did what I always did there. And I went straight to the Civil War section, and I opened all the books and spread them around me, and I noticed that on this day, there was a new book. I had never seen this one. It was called Babes in Arms. Soldier boys of the Civil War, boy soldiers of the Civil War. And let me assure you, they were total babes. And one of them in particular, like, really, like, captured my heart. We connect, like, the moment we locked eyes was just, it changed everything. His name was Edwin Francis Jemison. He was born in 1844. He was killed on July 1st, 1862 at the Battle of Malvern Hill. But like when we connected, it was like the 130 years like just disappeared. You know, it was like yesterday. You know how that happens? Like, so cute. So we had that, and we started seeing a lot of each other. You know, every night going to sleep, Edwin and I would hang out in my fantasies. And, like, we'd do really cool stuff together. Like, I would be on the battlefield with him at Malvern Hill, and he'd be, like, laying there, like, with musket shrapnel, and he'd be, like, bleeding out, like, sexy, like, you know, it's so cute. And I'd be clenching his clammy hand against my heart, and he'd be like, don't stop believing in our love. And I'd be like, of course not, Edwin. I could never stop believing in you. I love you forever. And then we would kiss, and I would keep him alive with my kiss, you know? And it worked. Every time he wouldn't die. So around the same time, I changed schools. It was a big deal. I went from this like little weird school with no boys at all to this slightly less weird school with boys, and they were like alive. So this was like a really big adjustment for me, you know. I was like, and there was this one, and his name was Ryan, and he had a something, you know. He like had these big brown eyes. I never really knew what color Edwin's eyes were. It's like black or white, gray, brown. I don't know. That didn't matter. But Ryan had these big brown eyes, and he had this great tan, like all year round, which I came to find out was called Filipino, and he was just like, he did things that Edwin, you know, like he had this thing, like he would, for example, have all kinds of different facial expressions, and that was like, you know, or like different outfits that he would wear on different days, which was like kind of a turn on, I guess. So, you know, before I knew it, Ryan had sort of started visiting my little fantasies. Like at night, it wouldn't be the battlefield anymore with Edwin. It would be something equally romantic and disastrous, like but with Ryan. So like we'd be in an avalanche, and we'd be in this little snow cave, and we'd be freezing to death, but we would kiss to stay alive. And or like we'd be on a school trip, and we'd be on a boat, and the boat would be sinking, and all the kids would drown except me and Ryan, and then we'd do this like Lord of the Flies island thing, and we would just kiss to stay alive. That's how they all ended. So, and before you know it, I'm even fantasizing about Ryan like in the middle of school, and like I would never talk to him. That like speech and love, that was like a bridge too far. But I could talk to him with my mind, which I would do every day in class. I would just sit there and stare at him and think, love me. Love me. Love me. Love me, Ryan. Love me. And it worked. Ryan totally asked me to the Valentine's Day dance. I mean, to be fair, between the like pioneer garb and the mind control and the broken family, I was pretty much the whole package. So, you know. So he asked me to the dance, and I said yes, and just like that, I was a two-timer. And I felt really bad, you know, like it was eating me up. Edwin was just so, like, he didn't deserve that. He was such a Southern gentleman. Like, he was so, like, soft-spoken and sweet all the time with me, and, like, just so kind, like, unobtrusive, you know, like, just strong, silent, whatever. He did not deserve this. This is how I repaid his love. It just, like, it didn't sit right, you know. But Ryan, you know, he was so cute, and he had like a smell, and like it was just charming. So we go to the dance. We go to the Valentine's Day dance, and everything starts off pretty good. Ryan shows up with like a carnation and like a mixtape, and he's wearing this little suit, and I'm wearing like an era-appropriate dress. Whatever, Mom. And so we're doing like the zombie like thing, like, you know, middle school dances, and it's okay, but I can tell like something is coming. Like his hands can almost touch behind my back, and that's just like, it's getting a little too close for comfort, you know, like he's kind of pulling me closer and whatever, and it starts to get uncomfortable, and I'm like thinking about Edwin. I'm getting like feeling guilty, and also it's just like not right. It's not, something's off. Like I'm looking around, all the kids are like not drowning. Like there's plenty of oxygen supply. There's no artillery fire to take cover from. It's like, I have needs too, Ryan. Like, it's off, you know? And so he can tell that I am not about to kiss him. And And so he does this like preemptive thing where he pulls me closer and then he takes my face in his sweaty middle school hands and like just clenching my face there. And next thing I know, there are these like alive boy lips pressed against mine. And after all that, it actually was pretty gross. And I knew deep down that I would rather be kissing a dead soldier and saving his life. So for a few years, I knew I was destined to remain. I know you know the words. You better sing along. Just a small town girl living in the lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a southern boy, born and raised in a little town in Georgia. He took the midnight train going to his certain death.
on the dead Civil War soldier, though, because, and this is, I mean, my own thing is probably sadder. When I was not working at Cozy, and this, because that was in Philly, I actually worked as one of those costumed colonial historic reenactors, whatever, you know, from the colonial period. Yeah, and like, I had the biggest crush on Thomas Jefferson. But the guy that played Thomas Jefferson, and only when he was dressed like Thomas Jefferson, because out of costume he had the curl, he just looked like Carrot Top. It was ridiculous. And so I would be sitting around all day and fantasizing about him like taking me behind a tree and lifting up my skirts, you know, and going to town. And then, you know, but then like, it's like I'd be sitting there, and then Ben, the guy who played Ben Franklin, would creep up on you and he would be like, fancy a tickle, and it was weird. So there went that. But no, Ophelia, I'm with you there.